In 48 years of practice in my office on the Upper East Side of New York, I have seen more tears than the average priest sees in confession. I am 88, and I am the same family therapist that Manhattan's last hopes used to come to. When I started in the 60s, people still believed that marriage was a fortress. Today, they treat it like a lease agreement that can be terminated the moment a faucet leaks. But the truth is that most marriages in the Western world do not die from infidelity or poverty. They die quietly in offices like mine, where people suddenly realize they stopped being alive for each other long before they took off their rings. I have the moral right to say this straight to your face because I have held the hands of thousands of men and women as they fell into the abyss of their own loneliness. I have seen dynasties crumble and the eyes of the most successful Wall Street bankers go dim because at home they found only a cold facade. In our achievement-driven culture, we have learned to sell our success perfectly, but we are utterly helpless when it comes to the basic fear of being unnecessary. Men in my chair have played the role of unbreakable rocks for years, while inside, rust of unspoken pain ate them away. I have seen these patterns thousands of times. It is like a virus that infects even the strongest organisms. There are things you do every day, thinking they are normal in our modern civilization, but they are the nails you hammer yourself into the coffin of your union. Now, as I no longer take new clients and simply watch this anthill from my living room window, I feel a strange mix of calm and rage. Rage at how easily we throw away the most valuable things. Never do these 7 things. Do not wait until you are 88 to realize you have lived a life with a shadow instead of a person. We will start with the most insidious mistake: the illusion that love can survive without language. In a city where everyone wants to be heard, we have forgotten how to speak about what really hurts. Over these half a century, I have studied the anatomy of decay as closely as a jeweler studies cracks in a diamond. The first and most terrifying thing I have seen thousands of times in this race for the American dream is the habit of turning the home into an office for household management. I remember a couple, Edward and Ellen, who came to me on Tuesdays for 3 years. Successful, well-groomed, residents of a prestigious Connecticut neighborhood. Their conversations boiled down to logistics. Who would pick up the kids from tennis? Whether the insurance bill was paid? What to order for Saturday dinner? They became perfect business partners in a corporation called family. But a cold fog settled in their beds. When Edward cried once, and men in my office rarely and painfully cry, he said, "We've discussed everything except whether we are still alive." This is the first thing. Never let schedules crowd out tenderness. Domestic efficiency is a quiet killer of eros and intimacy. The second pattern I observed in generations of New Yorkers is the escape into work as a socially acceptable way of being absent from home. Men do not know how to talk about fear. In our society, a man must be a rock, a foundation, a source of resources. When the first frictions appear at home, he does not go to dialogue. He goes to work. He takes extra hours. He saves the company. He locks himself in the office with a laptop. This is a socially approved form of desertion. I have seen entire decades pass in the mode of, "I am too busy to hear your pain." The consequences arrive 20 years later, when the career ends and the man finds himself in the same house with a woman who has become a complete stranger. They look at each other across the kitchen table and realize that behind these skyscrapers of reports, they buried their ability to feel each other. The third thing is the accumulation of small resentments instead of an honest outburst. In Western culture, we are taught to be polite. Don't make a scene, we are told from childhood. And so people swallow minor disappointments like small doses of arsenic. She stayed silent once when he forgot an important date. He ignored her fatigue another time. These molecules of poison accumulate over the years. I have seen couples fall apart over the wrong type of bread, but in reality, that bread was just the last drop in a reservoir of resentment that had been filling for 30 years. This is the slow suicide of a marriage. The fourth fatal mistake is looking for someone to blame instead of solving the problem. In my office, people turned into prosecutors. They came not for healing, but for a verdict, where I was supposed to confirm that their partner was wrong. They spent energy proving the other's guilt instead of simply extending a hand. This is the culture of individualism, where myself always matters more than our we. And the fifth thing, perhaps the saddest, is the loss of a shared future. When people stop dreaming together, they begin to age separately. I have seen couples in their 50s and 60s suddenly realize that nothing binds them anymore except joint debts and adult children who long ago moved to other states. They had no idea where they were going as a couple. It was like traveling by train, where each bought a ticket to their own station, simply ending up in the same compartment by chance. Emotional tension peaks in moments like this. It is the quiet despair of people who realize that the most valuable years were spent supporting scenery with no theater behind it. I know these patterns not only because I listened to them for $50 a session in the 70s or $500 in the 2000s. I know them because I myself became a victim of my own professional blindness. My wife, Clara, was a woman of incredible patience, a true daughter of New England, raised with respect for duty and silence. We lived together for 42 years, and I, the great expert in saving souls, believed that our marriage was a model haven. I was too busy untangling other people's knots to notice the noose tightening around my own home. Clara passed away 8 years ago, not from me, from cancer, which she hid for 3 months so as not to distract me from important matters in my patients. When I finally sat by her bedside at Mount Sinai Hospital, I realized that we had not spoken about ourselves for the last 20 years. We talked about renovating our cottage in the Hamptons, about the children's colleges, about my journal publications. But I did not know what she dreamed of as she fell asleep. I did not know what she felt when I stayed late at work again, saving yet another couple from divorce. I saw thousands of patients, but overlooked the one person who held my world together. This contrast tore me apart. In my office, there were people who screamed, smashed dishes, accused each other of every mortal sin, and strangely enough, they sometimes survived as a couple, because in their anger there was a spark of life, a sign of caring. But Clara and I were the ones who changed under the pressure of social norms. We became convenient, polite, perfect residents of a metropolis. We became dead inside our own perfection. I have seen in my chair an 80-year-old man who, at 81, decided to start over. He came and said, "Doc, all my life I was afraid she would think I'm weak if I cried. Now she's 80, she can hardly hear, but I finally told her how scared I was all our life. This was a person who changed my view of old age. He chose to be vulnerable when it seemed too late. And I saw in that moment their marriage, which had been on life support, suddenly take its first independent breath. In America, we fear pain more than loneliness. We anesthetize ourselves with work, shopping, television, just to avoid feeling that itch in the chest, the fear of being misunderstood. I look at the generation of my children and grandchildren. They have become even more skilled at escape. They have thousands of ways to simulate intimacy without touching the soul. They change partners like phone models, hoping the next version will be bug-free. But the bugs are not in the partners. They are in our inability to stop and admit, I am scared and I need you. Time is not sand slipping through your fingers. It is concrete hardening around your heart if you do not start speaking in time. Now, as the sun slowly sets behind the Manhattan skyscrapers, I sit in a chair that has witnessed too many broken hopes. I do not want to give you advice because advice is a cheap commodity, overflowing in every bookstore on Fifth Avenue. I just want you to hear the silence that will come after you close this text. It is the same silence in which you are left alone with your partner every evening. It is either healing or deadly. There is no third option. Do not wait for the perfect moment to take off the mask of a successful person who has it all under control. Do not wait for an anniversary, an illness, or my age to finally admit that you sometimes feel scared, lonely, or unbearably sad next to the person you supposedly have known all your life. Marriage is not a contract of mutual services. It is the daily courage to be yourself, even if it does not look like a glossy picture. We are all here only as guests, and the only thing we will take with us is the warmth of the hand we did not let go of when it got truly dark. I look at my old hands and realize we spend decades building walls, and then the rest of our lives trying to shout through them. Do not build these walls. Do not do these 5 things today so that tomorrow you do not have to seek my successor who will simply document your failure professionally. Have you today looked into the eyes of the person who sleeps in the same bed with you? Or did you just check the notifications on your phone? If this message touched something alive in you, please give it a like. It is a sign to me that I have not spoken into emptiness. Subscribe if you feel there is still more we can quietly share together. Thank you for listening to the end.